Hello, everyone. Welcome to Orange and Brew, the podcast where we married our two favorite pastimes, the Denver Broncos and beer. I am one of your hosts, JT Matthews, at JTMatthews01 on Twitter. And I'm here, of course, with the doctor, Nicholas Manning, at DR_and Manning on Twitter and Instagram as well. And we have a very special guest, someone who honestly didn't have to give us his time, but we appreciate that he is willing to do so. That's the one and only Zach By, at By's Line on Twitter. You can hear him on 104.3 The Fan with Brandon Stokely. And are you still doing the Hoops podcast?
Yeah, just recorded newest episode yesterday. Just some leftover thoughts about the Bruce Brown stuff, looking at, a couple re-signings. But that was a pretty awesome couple months, you guys.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, following that team. That was really, a dream come true. I had so much fun over that 2-month period. Was the busiest I've ever been since moving to Denver 6.5 years ago, but it was worth every trip downtown, every phoner hit around the country. It was next level, man. It was so fun.
Yeah. I mean, especially when your team does it for the first time, there has been such a drought and such a history surrounding that team. To see them persevere, to finally have a guy that's considered, the best basketball player in the world.
Yep.
I mean, nothing beats it. It's just a joy. Doc, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk to Zach. We have talked a lot of Nuggets on this pod, and so I know and appreciate your insight, Zach. So I'm as excited as I am to talk Broncos stuff. Still haven't got over the Nuggets yet, and don't know that I will. I think it's interesting because if I recall, you came on like the tail end of, was it 2016 season?
So it was the start of the 2017. It was 2017 season, because I got here in the wintertime in 2017, coming into the spring, and the Nuggets were kind of going like this at that time, but no one was talking about them like any. Sure. They were like the band who you saw at like the local brewery, and you're like, there's something there. There's something there. And then, 6 years later, they're selling out Ball Arena.
Yeah. I mean, tell us just kind of firsthand experience of being in there, what the building was like. I mean, just kind of reflect on that for us, if you don't mind, just because I think as viewers at home, at least for the majority of us, it was still amazing, but I can't imagine what it was like being in that building for those games.
It was insane. I went to game 1 of the first round, and didn't go to a game the rest of that first round, and then went to every other home game through the NBA Finals clinching game. So it was a lot, and it was what I used to do. I used to be down there almost every single game, and then I started having kids, and I got a 1-year-old daughter. You just can't make it there as much as you want to, but made the full commitment, went to almost every single game of the playoffs. And man, I'll just tell you, like, you could feel the tension. You could feel the buildup over 47 years. Yeah. And that team, they weren't just a good basketball team. And they weren't just a great basketball team, which they were. But they were a fun group to root for, like fun human beings to root for. So watching the Jamal Murray, like we missed Jamal Murray for 2 postseason cycles, hoping that when he came back, this could be the version of himself that he was. Getting Michael Porter Jr. back after playing only 9 games a year ago, that was it. I mean, so watching it all come into focus after this championship arc got disrupted through injury, and then to see them finish what they started years ago. And NBA basketball, like looking at Jamal Murray and Jokic as a core, find me another core that's been around longer than those two. It just doesn't happen. The league is just so transient. And the fact that they showed the patience, we all got the dividends of that patience. And it was an environment at those games and at the parade that you just can't recreate. You guys, I will remember it for the rest of my life. It was just so special. I'm just happy I was here for it. Like, a lot of this stuff is timing, guys. Like the Broncos win a Super Bowl 2 years before I show up, and then it's the worst stretch of NFL existence in their history.
Yes.
But then you look at the Avs side, it's like, man, I got to be in Denver doing sports talk radio when we stacked parades year over year. That's just so special. So you take the good with the bad, and I was happy I've been here for some really good.
Yeah, I'm really excited that you kind of brought up the making of the group and watching the slow play out. And I think that's why I found this team so special, because it was like our team. It was the community's team. We bought in. The community, I think, was patient for the most part, right? I think that there's obviously some people that wanted changes. But really, the only core I could think of that's been together that long is Golden State's.
Yeah.
And that's their group and their championships, and they kind of earned it. That way, it wasn't bought and paid for. And so, even Aaron Gordon, who was a really high draft pick, I don't think anyone would have thought that he would have been a guy that would help propel a team to a world championship, and especially over the last couple of years. So I agree, from first round exit last year, to see them restock, go through the season kind of underappreciated. And I know as Nuggets fans, we all will still have that chip on our shoulder a little bit. But I look at this as, I think it's one of the more impressive seasons too, from beginning to end that I've seen in a while. Right. They were top dog in the West that was stacked all season. And then really to go through the playoffs with losing 4 games, is with the stars that they had to beat. And I know that people will bring up seeds, but those are some names and some potential, some Hall of Fame resumes. And that's that to me is pretty impressive. It's pretty cool to be able to see and to enjoy for a team that really hasn't won anything, hasn't really been relevant in basketball circles, whether it's ABA or NBA. I was telling people before that I remember the first basketball game I got to go to. I got given tickets. It was at McNichols Arena. It was the really, really bad version of the Denver Nuggets. No one's there, right? Yeah. Anthony Goldwire and guys like that who are way better at basketball than I'll ever be, but probably wouldn't have been a starting point guard on a good team. And to see the transformation to where it's at now, and then to see the guys, like Jamal Murray playing 5-on-5 at Summer League now, it's exciting to be able to feel like that's our team, and guys that we've watched grow as human beings, like you said, and everyone willing to defer credit shots. When your star is that guy, I think it really sets the tone. So it was definitely, like you said, really a really cool team to root for. So I appreciated you along the journey. I know basketball is probably the first love for sure. And so, you're as knowledgeable, passionate, and enjoy hearing you talk about it. So thanks for letting us chat a little Nuggets, because we dig it.
Yeah, man, I love it. And co-sign everything you just said. And the idea that, and you got to be careful with how brazen you talk about windows in sports, but this idea that this team could have their hat in the ring for the next 3 to 5 seasons. I mean, there's really not, barring injury. If this team is healthy, there's no reason to think that this team couldn't be in the mix of the Western Finals or the NBA Finals for the foreseeable future. So it's really exciting. They're actually no longer favored to win it all next year. Boston has edged past them at plus 500, with the Nuggets at plus 550. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I have a feeling if this group is healthy, they'll be right there in the Final Four mix. And when you're there, anything can happen. But here's what I'll say real quick before we move on. You were like, I know some of the seeds, some of the spin from people, but maybe it wasn't, as whatever. When you go 16-4 in the best basketball league in the world, that removes any room for interpretation. When you're averaging a gentleman's sweep through the course of an entire postseason, you're winning 4 games for every game that you lose. But let's take it a step further. Look at the 4 losses. They lost a game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, which they absolutely just let slip through their fingers in a game that they had a lead, should have won, and lost in overtime. It took Devin Booker to turn into a combination of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant over a 2-game sample size. He shot 80% over the course of 2 games. Him and Durant combined for like 80-something points. So it took like an all-time 2-game performance. And then a 4th game that they lost in the NBA Finals, it was at home, up 8 points going into the 4th quarter with a win probability in the mid-90s. And then that they just blew. So even the 4 losses, there's context to them that you could say, man, they actually could have even had a better record than 16-4.
Yeah. Is there a comparable moment for you, as a sports fan, than compared to being there with the Nuggets? Is there a comparable moment, previously in your career, or even a memory as a kid, anything like that?
No, not really. The only comparable moment was the Avs, a year ago. Guys, I'm from a town that's not a pro sports town, right? I'm from upstate New York. I'm from the Albany area, so that's 2.5 hours away from New York City. And I'll tell you this, like, I didn't grow up with a family that could afford to go to the games. To this day, I've never even been to Madison Square Garden, which I can't believe is true. I'm from New York. I've never been to Madison Square Garden. We just didn't have resources like that.
Sure.
So, there is really no comparable moment. I grew up a Bills fan, like diehard, never saw the Bills cross the finish line.
Yeah.
So, and plus to be here, the center of the basketball universe. I'll give you another childhood example. Like, I grew up, Kobe Bryant was my favorite athlete of all time. So I used to root for Kobe and the Lakers. I've never even been to Los Angeles, like, to this day. So I live in Denver. Denver is my home. Colorado's my home. My kids are born here. We've bought our first home here, like, got my dream job here. So outside of the Bills, which I don't think I'll ever let go, as I grown up, I kind of and grown up even more here, moving here, turning 30, have just kind of adopted this. So there's nothing really comparable, and anything that would come close is not really that close. It's not that close.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's transition to Broncos, because that's technically what we're here to talk about, even though it's been painful for quite a while to talk Broncos.
Do it.
And we're in a bit of a lull, which is also a little painful as far as news goes. But since we haven't talked to you in a while, I just want to kind of get your feeling about this team and just kind of walk through the offseason they've had, and starting with the hiring of Sean Payton as the head coach. Was this something that you endorsed? Was this something you were on board with? Did you prefer someone else? And then when the news broke, what was your reaction?
Initially, through the process, Jim Harbaugh was my guy. I actually still believe to this day that Jim Harbaugh was initially this Broncos ownership group's guy. They made the last second pitch. I don't know if you guys remember that report that they went back to Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
But Sean Payton was right there at number 2. And then there was a big drop off after that. We've seen Sean Payton coach at the highest level for a very, very long time. We saw Sean Payton take a 3-13 Saints team and year over year, not only have them in the playoffs, but in the NFC Championship game. That's hard to do. But we've seen this. This happens with good coaches. Yep. When good coaches step into a dysfunctional situation, Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. We're watching Jacksonville have the number 1 pick in the draft. Next thing you know, the next year they're in the playoffs, landing body blows against the Kansas City Chiefs. So we saw it in New York. The Giants were a 3-win football team back in the playoffs with largely the same cast of characters year over year. So I'm very bullish on this decision. I can't wait to see the competency level of the Broncos. Yeah. Who knows who they're going to be? Playoffs, winning record, not sure. But I am looking forward to a competent football team. And I have been banging the drum here for a while at the Fan that football coaching matters more than any other sport. It just does. And the game of basketball is so flowy and fluid. You could play for 3 straight minutes and not have a dead ball. Yeah. So you're reacting. It's a game of pressing and then reacting. And football and hockey's that way too. Football, you literally run a play that may last 5 seconds, and then you take almost a minute and redesign the next play. And then you run that play and it may go 6 seconds, may go 3 seconds. And then you take almost a full minute and redesign the next play. So it's the ultimate start and stop traffic cop sport. And the guy who is redesigning it play-by-play freaking matters a lot.
Yeah.
And Sean Payton is a masterful play designer. So I'm excited about what the offense could look like and getting out of the basement of 32nd ranked offense in a league of 32,
Right.
but also just the culture changing of the football team. Guys, it has been really hard for me to watch some of the erosion through the years of what this product has become. And not even just the product, but just the tone of the product has been a dark cloud. And from a culture standpoint, I've been talking about this for many years now at this point on The Fan. And it matters a lot, and it takes a long time to build it, and you can lose it really, really quickly. And the Broncos had it for an incredibly long period of time. I mean, it is you could literally draw a line from the time where Pat Bowlen bought the team to the time that his health started to erode.
Sure.
They were the most consistent team in the sport.
Yeah.
So I just think leadership matters a ton, coaching matters a ton, and hopefully the Broncos have great check marks in both of those departments with Greg Penner and the Walton Family Pennership ownership group and Sean Payton as well.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm looking at this team, and I think we talked about it, Doc, maybe last pod even, about that gap of coaching and how much that can raise, a team's ceiling. And I think you're right, Zach. I think that coaching in the NFL, or at least in the sport of football, I think that's where you have the most impact on wins and losses. So I'm excited. I think I don't want to admit it. I was a Dan Quinn guy still.
That's okay.
But that being said, I mean, I think the hiring obviously was a good choice, and we needed some adults in the room that knew how to lead, how to lead a group of men and get them motivated, get them refocused, and just kind of show them how to present themselves, how to present themselves to the media, how to present themselves to their teammates, and rein in the circus that had been around the facility for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think about, and I don't mean to interrupt, but just think about last season. We had a player quite literally almost rooting against his backup getting first downs.
Yeah.
In Melvin Gordon and Latavius Murray. We saw ranting on the sidelines from Jerry Jeudy to Melvin Gordon. We saw Jerry Jeudy get in the face of an official and bump him with his chest as he has his helmet off, and probably should have got suspended for that.
Yeah.
We got the offensive line not helping the quarterback up. We got the backup quarterback coming to call out the offensive line. And then you have a left guard challenging the backup basically to a fight on the sideline. You had Mike Purcell screaming at Russell Wilson on national TV right in front of Nathaniel Hackett, or right behind Nathaniel Hackett, and the head coach is acting like he's not hearing what's going on behind him. I mean, look, we went into last offseason with another Bronco like spending a night in jail. Like, that's not normal. All this stuff is not normal. And it's unacceptable is what it is. And the fact that this kind of stuff is just like, it's just normalized in a bad culture, and it's not normal, and it won't be normal under Sean Payton.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm looking forward to. I also was a Harbaugh guy. JT here as an Ohio State fandom, not okay with that choice. However, I think Sean Payton is probably even a better pick because of the recent NFL success, and I think his ability to command the room and all of the rooms. I don't know many multi-billionaires who will defer to someone else on how to do things, and I think you're seeing that now. I think that this is Sean Payton's show, so I'm excited for that. I'm also excited because now it eliminates, in my opinion, whose fault is it to some degree, right? Is it Russ's fault? Is it now we know based on track record. I would be shocked if Sean Payton forgot how to coach, and like you said, right, perennial winning team. He got good performances at a quarterback out of guys that aren't very good, in my opinion. I mean, just professional wise. And so I'm excited for that. I'm also excited for direction. And it seems like accountability is occurring quite a bit. What's your take on his impact with Russ? And whether or not that will be positive. Do you think we'll see a good turnaround? Do you think maybe the ship has passed here?
I'll preface this by saying, obviously, I don't know. I don't know what the workload is going to be. It has to be better than a year ago. It couldn't be worse. Guys, somehow on the heels of Simeon and Flacco and Keenum and Locke and Brandon Allen and just the list goes on. Somehow last year was the worst it's been.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that that's all on Russell Wilson. I think the lion's share of it might have been on Russ, but I just think when whoever is at the master control, like, you just can't dismiss that. Nathaniel Hackett had never done this job before, so I think it's going to get better. Do I think we're going to see Russell Wilson throwing 35 touchdowns? I'd be shocked. I'd be pleasantly shocked. I think it's going to be somewhere in between. You know, what he throw 16 a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, is it going to be 35 again? Probably a little bit lofty. 16 is just the worst we've ever seen. That can't happen again. It might be 24. It might be 25. Let's cut the picks down a little bit. And I think if he just does that, I don't think he needs to be, third or fourth year in the league, Russ.
Right.
Simplify it, make it more manageable, be who you are. Don't try to be something you're not. Yeah. Sean Payton won't even allow that to happen, him biting off more than he can chew, because Sean Payton will be cutting Russell's food and giving it to him. Like, you are not biting off more than you can chew because I'm literally going to cut the meal for you. So I think there's that. The question that I have is, and I think this is among the most relevant questions for the Denver Broncos in the next few years, is that if you're looking for Russ to take some off his plate, make him more of a manager, do you need to pay that quarterback $250 million to do that? Right. And I've been talking about this, and we as a show have been talking about it more than anyone else that I know in the market over the last year. The Denver Broncos have a crucial decision to make next spring at the start of the new league year, that if Russell Wilson is on the roster when the new league year turns over, so it's like the first week of March, if Russell Wilson is on the roster heading into the 2024 season, his money is guaranteed through the 25 season. So you're making a 2-year commitment by not doing anything and just having him on the roster and actually having that contract start, because it hasn't even started yet.
Right.
But if he's on the roster in the new league year, you're essentially handcuffed to him financially for the next 2 years. And if you don't, you're going to pay for it regardless. But there's mechanisms to make it less of a sting, or not even a sting. It's going to sting. It's going to sting a lot. Yeah. But you won't bleed out from it.
Right.
The way you can bleed out is if he's really cooked and you bank on him for 2 years following this coming season, that can make you bleed out. So that, I think it's like my question is, and I know I'm saying a lot here, is like, what level of ball do we need to see Russell Wilson play at to justify going down the road with him for multiple more years? I don't think, because I think Russ was an F a year ago. I don't think Russ can go from an F to a C+ or even a B- and still be on the roster that following year. Because if he's playing C+ to B- football, Sean Payton can go find someone else that can do that won't cost $250 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that you're not tied to. Yeah, I was hearing you say that before. I think he's going to play better than that. I think Sean Payton, one, there's ego there too, right? If he can get Russ back to Russ,
yeah,
there's another Hall of Fame cap. I've heard quite a bit about, he's not married to Russ, and he doesn't have a lot invested. And maybe you've said this too. Sean Payton doesn't want to lose.
Right.
Sean Payton didn't come here to reboot, to draft, in the top 5. He came here to win another Super Bowl at minimum. So I think it really will all hinge on Russ. Like you said, go back to what made you great. And if he can do that, play within the confines, then make big plays on third down, when you need Russ to be Russ. And if he can do that, I think we'll be pleasantly surprised. I assume that humble pie that he got will probably push him to that direction. How long he stays in his lane, who knows? Maybe before you head out, I know that on your show you've talked about the confines or how the wide receiver room has been built, for instance.
Yeah.
and some of the financial gluttony that sits in that room. I know it's been talked about, and the trade with Cortland Sutton that almost took place to the Ravens, as well as some other deals that didn't conjure up much. So, question for you: anything that you see that might happen? Maybe a surprise trade or cut from the Broncos before the season starts.
Probably not before the season starts. If things aren't going well, I could see them dealing Cortland Sutton during the year if they have a suitor that thinks they're close and may be missing a wide receiver or have a wide receiver injured. So like teams like the Ravens come to mind, the New England Patriots come to mind. We'll see how that ages, but regardless, I don't think anything's happening before the season. Now, would I be absolutely stunned and knocked over? No, because they've already been actively trying to trade Sutton. Guys, if they could trade Sutton, they would have traded Sutton. Yeah. You can't. It's a $61 million contract with a bunch of money guaranteed. I think, I don't want to misquote it, but I think it's like 34 guaranteed, something like that. That's a ton of money for someone who has 4 touchdown catches in the last 3 years. Yeah. Like Greg Dulcich walked in the league with 50% less games than Sutton and caught as many touchdown passes.
Yeah.
It's got to get better. And if it does get better, maybe they can move him if the Broncos aren't going anywhere fast. Sure. But here's what I am convinced of. It's not going to be the same room next year. It just can't be. There's 0% chance. You can save, if you look at what the cap hit is and what the dead cap would be, you could actually save $10 million on each Sutton and Patrick. Uh-huh. It's just too much savings not to address. So those guys are going to have to play great, and I mean great football to both come back. And if we're talking about Sean Payton maybe taking some of the stuff off of Russell's plate, maybe being a run-first team, even if you're going 1-to-1 pass to run, I don't know, guys. Everyone's not going to eat. Everyone's not going to eat. And there's 4 guys that are potential targets, and Mims, Judy, Sutton, and Patrick. And I just – man, here's my gut. And again, I don't want this to happen, but my gut is that we're going to get to the end of next year and the Broncos are moving on from Cortland Sutton for sure. And maybe even Tim Patrick, and starting that room over with Judy, Mims, and fill in the blank, however they want to construct that room, because it's just, guys, it's got to be, and I don't know this for sure, and I haven't done the research, but it's got to be the only time in NFL history where it's the highest paid wide receiver room, and there's one total 1,000-yard season among the entire room. I would bet good money that's the first time in NFL history that has happened. But outside of Sutton's 2019, which is a presidential term ago, okay, there's no 1,000-yard seasons, and that's unheard of, to allocate $44 million to a room that in big NFL picture has done mostly nothing. So it's that should disturb Broncos fans. That's not me being negative. That's telling the truth. It's an upside down room. Hopefully, the hope is that those guys can play well enough that we're in the middle of the season going, you want to know what? This does look like a number 1 wide receiver room. That's the hope. But it hasn't been that. It has not been that to date.
Absolutely. Well, we know you got to run, so we thank you for your time, man. We appreciate it as always. Hope to have you on in the future. But for our listeners, Zach By on 104.3 The Fan with Zach and Stokely, and then the Mile High Hoops podcast. Is that correct?
Mile High Hoops podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, on Twitter at Buysline, on Instagram at ZBuy23. And maybe on Threads here in about, I don't know, an hour.
Yeah, us too. Well, thank you again. We appreciate you. And,
all right, thank you.
We'll be in touch. Thanks, man.
Yeah, let's do this back in the regular season. We can come back and check in. JT, Doc, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Have a good one. All right. Well, let's take a beverage break because it's beer time.
It is beer time.
Sorry, Rich. We wanted to get your question in there, but we were on the clock, so we apologize for that. But thanks for joining us. And, I'm still going to rock the pineapple on pizza. That's it.
But I do, before we get into the beer, you answer this question.
If Russ does bounce back, that either means Russ played poorly on purpose or Hackett and Russ were just that bad. I mean, it would be nice. It would be convenient to feel like Russ just threw it through the season. I just don't think that is the case. I think I kind of like what Bai was saying, like we needed an adult in the room, and Nathaniel Hackett, I think, is a good offensive mind. I think he's a good football mind. I don't want to completely trash him, but there was no semblance of structure in that locker room. Russ seemed to have whatever leash he wanted. No one was reining him in. I just think it was just a product of poor leadership and poor organizational. I don't know what the word is, but like just overall structure, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think Russ played bad on purpose. I think that he bit off more than he could chew. And I don't know why big time players want to do the thing where they want to be bigger than the scheme or the coach.
Yeah.
Like I want to drive everything because I think I've reached that level. I love LeBron James, but when he does GM LeBron stuff to get his guys, sometimes it's okay to have objective eyes in the room that help make decisions, and you control what you can control in your role. So I think that was more it. And Russ is when he's allowed to run rampant. And I think that probably be for any quarterback. Look at Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, I mean, when the divas get too much, you see the cracks in all of it. So because we just talked about that, I definitely have to drink.
We definitely got to drink. And drink we will. Today we have where's the thing? Upslope. Mary Jane Ale. It's not it's not the most visually pleasing can ever, but it's it's sleek, it's modern, and I'm rocking my Upslope here today too. I just happen to have an Upslope hat, so we are doubling up on the Upslope.
Doubling up on the Upslope. The double Upslope.
The double Upslope. 5% ABV.
Mm-hmm.
Drink fresh, brewed and canned by Upslope Brewing Company in Boulder, Colorado. Have you ever been to there?
I haven't been to there.
Me neither. I've been to a few up there, but Upslope is one that I don't know. I guess, you only go so often, so you just catch the ones you really want to at the time. And Upslope hasn't hit the top of my list yet. But we need to change that. So we'll have to plan that. You an ale guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, ales are solid, I'd rather a pale ale or a red or something like that than just the kind of your straight ale or your straight lager. But I'll give it benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I like Upslope. They make good beer.
In college, I did it up.
Yeah.
Never left.
All right. Well, cheers. Let's crack these babies open. 3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, pretty mild smelling. We've had so many IPAs lately that it's like I'm expecting to get a whole aroma, but this is nice and subtle.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, man.
Cheers. I worry that because we drink beverages on camera that are and live now, that our mics are going to pick it up, and then we're going to really gross out people. So I try to pull back a little bit when I drink.
Not drink it back.
There's a term for that. I can't think of what it's called, but people that are freaked out by eating noises. And I mean, I don't like loud chewers.
Most people don't.
Or sippers, but
yeah, I mean, just don't be like a slurper.
Always good for an audio medium. I guess we got video now, though, so that's a little better. Thoughts on the beer overall?
Maybe I was a lager guy.
I
mean, it's good. Ale's all right. I mean, it's I'd say I needed like a chilled glass.
Yeah.
Like a beer pong table. Yeah.
I would say, I mean, it kind of hit the normal notes for me that I get from ales and lagers. It has a little, it tastes a little bit. You had Yingling? Yingling, the like East Coast, like everyone on the East Coast loves Yingling. It's a lager they have out there. There's a little bit of like that flavor in there. I'm not exactly sure what to attribute that to. Maybe it's like a caramely malt or like a smoky malt. I'm not sure exactly. But that's what it reminded me of. And I'm not a huge Yingling guy. So it's average for me. I'll give it a W, but I'll give it a small dub.
Okay. It says it does what it'll do.
It does what it says.
I mean, yeah.
We always grade things based on that. So
yeah. I mean, I'll finish it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna not drink it.
Yeah.
That's just silly.
Yeah, it's good. It's I think that there's a little bit. It's not like it doesn't taste like a light lager.
There's some heaviness on the back end.
That's it's not a light beer. So
yeah.
So yeah, for that, I give it some weight to it. I'll take it. A little sad. Not that I'm like a heavy partaker or anything, but the Mary Jane, it was for the territory at Winter Park.
Oh yeah.
So not the other stuff that you would think.
Not we don't got THC in here.
So I'm just saying. I mean, I would waver on the grade on that. Like, I don't know about you, but
little bit of a letdown there.
Well, I mean, when you pick it up, you're like, oh, no, not usually, but not too bad. So we'll keep taking this on. I'll give it a small dub. So double small dubs. And I think it's time to get back into the podcast.
Let's do it.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
I was gonna say technical difficulties over there. Come on, producer. Gotta give you a hard time. Well, we had planned to do a Would You Rather game. What's up, Graham? Just saw your message. Thanks for joining us. What's up, everyone? Again, thanks for listening. We're gonna do Would You Rather. So coming into this season, we're gonna put some scenarios on the table, some hypotheticals. That's the word I'm looking for. Some hypotheticals, and we've got to choose. We've got to make a choice between one of two options for the 2023-24 season for the Broncos. You want me to kick it off? You want to kick it off?
Yeah, you go for it.
All right, let me pull out my handy list here. Okay, I'll start with some player-specific ones.
All right.
Would you rather see Greg Dulcich or Nick Bonito have a breakout season?
I would rather see Nick Bonito.
Yeah.
I for as impactful as a tight end can be, to have an edge rusher, we've talked about that, like concern of that room, to have him break out after how dismal his, if Greg Dulcich just plays like he did last year, that'd be like good enough. He didn't like excel. I think Benito was not good. So if he had a breakout, I'd be even like he had, 6 sacks, plays adequate against the run. Like there's some hope there, potentially, because then that gives you some freedom with your other high-paid edge that's injury prone, etc. So I'm gonna go with that. I think I would do that because you asked the question. I'm gonna make you answer it.
Yeah, no. This was really just a test to see what your Greg Dulcich fandom was, because I think most people want Greg Dulcich to have a breakout season, and I think that doesn't mean you don't.
Right.
And I also agree with you. I think I'd rather see Benito have a breakout season, just because I think it's a better scenario for the team overall. If we're getting pressure and we have a large stable of guys that are able to produce some pressure and get to the quarterback, I think that probably bodes well for the team. A little more than that offensive weapon that I think can be very impactful and will be very impactful, hopefully. But I think hitting the quarterback and creating opportunities to turn the ball over it's where you win games.
Yep. Concur. All right.
I'm ready.
I'm going to throw your question back at you because
okay.
Would you rather have Russell Wilson throw for 30 touchdowns
Okay.
Will Javonte run for 1,000 yards? Like, because that is like layers. It's like an onion.
It is. It's tough because I think we've talked a little bit on the pod, and I've kind of come to the feeling, and probably you too, to an extent, that Russ has just got to be better this year. And I mean, like Zach said in the first part of the show, you know, what does that look like? Does it look like 30 to 35 touchdowns? I don't know. But I think if your quarterback is throwing the ball and getting points on the board, that's probably best scenario. As much as I love Javonte and root for the guy and want him to, return to form and then some. And obviously the running game is important, an important part of the offensive attack. But if your quarterback's throwing 30 touchdowns, then you're putting points on the board, and you're probably at least in most games, if not, winning. And maybe we'll get to do something that we haven't seen this team do for a while, which is play ahead, play not from behind. You know, I think if Russ is putting up numbers like that, then you're probably in and leading a lot of those games.
Yeah, I just for as much as I love Javonte, I think the quickest route to Super Bowl in Denver is with Russ playing well.
Yeah.
So I think that to me is probably the most important piece. So,
and I think Zach made a good point too, which is like, if Russ struggles and doesn't live up to the expectations, this contract is a killer. Like, we need Russ to produce, to take advantage of this opportunity that we have with him at quarterback. Because if we don't, we can find someone that, can play, like he said, C+, B- ball for cheap, but you still are carrying around a huge amount of money that you just, you want to be able to have that money be functional for you.
We'll draft a guy. Jameis Winston will come in for
right
expensive laden deal, and then you just eat all that contract. So I've seen what Russ can do. We all are fully aware. So him doing what we think he can do in the end is best for all of us. So what's your next?
Let's go with would you rather have a Pro Bowl season from Jerry Jeudy or one of any other of the wide receivers in that room?
That's good.
I couldn't decide. I was just going to say or Cortland Sutton, but I think that if you widen the field a little bit, it makes the conversation more interesting.
Yeah, I think I'd go younger. So I think if Jerry had a Pro Bowl season, that's the player that you're probably going to invest in long-term anyway.
Yeah.
You have him under contract for next year, picking up his fifth-year option. So it's not like he's going to play himself out of that. You're probably already going to pay a market kind of deal for him. I think if he performs well, that means him and Russ are on the same page. Usually the wide receiver one in Sean Payton's offense gets a lot of volume anyway, so you'd assume that he's wide receiver one. That's hard though, because I would love the bounce back from either Cortland or Tim Patrick. It would be nice to see 2019 Court.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think that's a really good one. That would be what I would err on. What would your thought be?
I've kind of gone back and forth. In ways we've kind of talked about Mims being a potential safeguard against the Jeudy flop. Or at least that's kind of how I've viewed it a little bit, and why they probably prioritized taking Mims when they did. So I think you've got a little bit of fallback if Jerry doesn't produce this season, but I do think best scenario is him producing and getting to that level. Because it's good for your confidence in your scouting department, right? No one likes to take a first round draft pick and flop on it, or it just not live up to the standards that you're hoping. And then I just think it's better for the team. Like you said, if he's at a Pro Bowl caliber, it means him and Russ are clicking, which means probably good things for this team. So I would agree with that one.
All right, here's my doozy. Okay,
I'm ready.
All right, Broncos finish 11-6.
Okay.
They win on the road. So they do not win the division, win on the road, win first playoff game, lose in the divisional round.
Okay.
All right. Or they're abysmal and
Mhm.
secure a top, I'm not going to make it like layup for you, but pretty close to a top 3 selection in the 2024 draft.
Oh, baby.
Means that they could potentially draft Drake May,
Mhm.
Caleb Williams.
Mhm.
I would tell you that at least one of those guys would be available. What do you do?
I mean, Caleb Williams is my guy right now, so no, I need to taste the playoffs. I need a playoff win. I need success. Like my heart says, my heart is always with draft picks, and I think this is probably why you gave this to me, because it would be so easy for me to be like, oh, give me that draft pick. Let's rebuild. Let's go. Let's get first, early draft picks for the next few years. Rebuild with the young core. I don't want that for this organization, though.
Yeah.
I want, even if it's just sniffing playoff success, that feels better to me. And it kind of comes back to like that argument people have about, do you throw in the towel if you're out to a bad start to get a better draft pick, or do you compete and just let the cards fall where they may? And part of my heart says like, oh yeah, better draft pick, always get the better draft pick. But like, so it's so much better for an organization to feel that success and see that success and build from that than it is to just bank on the future, And so I guess at the end of the day, I'd rather see them win a playoff game, and get to be in that position. As much as it hurts me to, hurts my heart to watch a guy like Caleb Williams go to, whoever, the Houston Texans. I guess, I mean, that means that,
but yeah, whatever.
That didn't work out, but you get my point.
I'm picking it up. If this were 2 years ago, or, before maybe recent success of the Avalanche or the Nuggets, I love Caleb Williams. I think that guy's going to be, and I think Drake May has a chance to be a superb NFL player. And I would have said, and I'm not a tank guy. No. You got it. Culture matters. I'd be like, yeah, whatever. I'll go through one more crap season. I think for the mental health of Broncos country, for that building, for this team to have some success, even if it stalls, even if it's like Jake Plummer success, where they, they're perennial playoff contenders. They're going to win 10 plus games a year, but we're not going to the Super Bowl over the next 4 or 5 years or whatever. I would sign up for that, because I think what that does is it provides, again, it reestablishes the, and Zach had said it in the first segment, like the consistency of the organization.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be good. We'll continue to press great, but we won't go back. I think setting that back up again would be phenomenal. It would be really hard for me, though, because I don't think Caleb Williams is going to fail in the NFL. I don't think so either. As a freak, so it's kind of one of those. Would you pass up on Mahomes to go 11-6?
Right. I mean, it's a great question, and it's real. I mean, the struggle is real, because the one thing that would, not negate a bad Russ contract, but that would help is a cheap rookie contract that you can kind of ride out a little bit until you can clear up some of that space.
Yeah, look at Cincinnati, right? Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
they're perennial AFC Championship Super Bowl contenders for the next 2 years, because they got Joe Burrow on that rookie deal. The Chargers haven't done a good job with Herberts, but Tua, same kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And when you have a guy that can be a generational player, potentially, in my view, I think that skews it. But sure. I believe if they go 11-6, that means Russ figured it out. It probably means Russ played like Russ, which means that I also think there can be one more step to how good he can play the next season, right?
Okay.
If they go 5-12 to 11-6, you would think that with more continuity, more time, Sean Payton has another addition to his room, rooms, whatever. That this team will be better. Offensive line probably is fixed then. Some more tinkering than anything. So I'm excited about that one. Hopefully, when we check in mid-season with Zach, we'll know what the answer is. Probably.
Yeah, we'll be well on our way to.
But even that, look at Jacksonville last year, right? The Broncos beat Jacksonville in a matchup of 2 and 5s, I think.
Yeah,
they were 2 and 6. They end up 9 and 8, won a playoff game, and were toe to toe with the Chiefs. So in the end, again, it's like, you can't turn the season off ever, or you shouldn't. It's just not the league to do it. So now that doozy is out of the way, what do you got?
All right.
This tasted better the longer this podcast is.
Oh, okay. It's improving. It's improving with while we go. I've been talking so much, I haven't really been drinking, so I need to step my game up.
Yeah, I think when we have been IPA heavy for a while, dip into a new one, it's like it's not that great, but
it's a nice change. It's a nice change, a welcome change. I'm torn between two. Maybe I'll end up doing both of them. So I'll start with this one. Would you rather have a better rookie season from Drew Sanders or from Riley Moss?
That is great. Drew Sanders all day.
Really?
I think Riley Moss will probably max out as like a third corner.
Okay.
Maybe a CB2 long term. If he breaks out, that probably means someone got hurt. So I don't want that to happen. Drew Sanders, I think, because of his multiplicity, he'll be able to play anywhere. And they really need like impact guys, right?
Yeah,
so when TJ Watt was selected, and I look at them kind of similarly, like physically, and trait wise, he was selected in the back end of the first round. Weren't really sure. Tweener, like, did he get overdrafted because of his brother? Blah blah blah.
Right.
I see them physically similar. I know that Sanders will play inside, but I think the ability to move around and cause havoc all over, not that he will be Watt, but a guy that can come in and really be dynamic. I think it's something that this team has missed.
Yeah.
Especially in kind of the front seven since Vaughn, really, right? If we look at it, who has been really a game wrecker outside of Von Miller? You could say Bradley Chubb in the one season.
Yeah,
that's
maybe.
really been it since, probably 2015, 2016. So having a guy that really can wreak some havoc, which I think he has the capability to do at some point in his career, that to me would be really big. I like Riley Moss. I expect a ceiling. And I think just to be reasonable, Damari Mathis, I think to me is a better prospect or was coming out.
Sure.
And just physically, the length, et cetera. And Pat Surtain is the freak of nature.
Sure.
And then K'Waun Williams is just a proven slot guy. So I don't see him overtaking any of them yet. Long term, though, if he becomes a high level CB2, you have a choice between him and Damari, all that kind of stuff, because he's playing that well. That would be great. I just think Drew Sanders being the impact player all over the place would be better. What about you?
I struggle with this one because I think it feels a little bit like when you draft for need or you draft for upside. And the upside with Drew Sanders, I think, is higher, right? I think you're, like you said, dynamic, potential playmaker, someone who can impact the game on any play. I don't know if Riley Moss has that ceiling. However, I feel like that room is weak at the moment as far as depth goes. And so in my mind, is it better to have a little bit of reinforcement in that room, or is it better to have that dynamic playmaker come out right away and may put a stamp on this team? I don't know. I think I probably would lean Sanders just because of the points that you made and the potential for to create turnovers, that sort of thing, to really change the flow of a game and the attitude of a game, to be honest. If you're getting punched in the mouth and the ball's getting run down your throat and a guy like Sanders comes in and lays the wood down on someone, which we know he can do and probably will do at this next level, I mean, you can change the whole course of a game or the whole feel of a game. But man, it's really tempting for me to say Moss just to have that extra depth, because I worry that one injury derails this whole defense. One injury to either of your one or two guys. I don't know, that the depth pieces we have are there to be that backup parachute. So I'm torn, but I probably will lean Sanders just because of the upside, like you were saying. We got a viewer from Cedar Hill, Texas.
Hey,
what's up, David? We appreciate you joining us. Hopefully you're getting some good Broncos talk here.
Is Cedar Hills near San Antonio? My sister's in San Antonio. Let me know if you're close to.
Yeah, I don't know.
The old Lady Manning out there.
The Lady Manning, I like that. You got one more?
I do.
And then I'm gonna throw in an extra one for you.
Okay. All right.
I'm ready.
All right. I have a question for you. So, sack leader.
Yes.
Would you rather it be Zach Allen or Randy Gregory?
I think.
Oh wait, let me rewind it.
Okay.
Sack leader between the same players, Zach Allen, Randy Gregory, and whoever is the leader is plus 10. So not like
10 plus,
not like 8, 7. Like we got a Pro Bowl sack season from one of those two players. Who would you rather it come from?
Maybe Allen. And that surprises me a little bit to say, just because I think if Randy Gregory's healthy, he's your best guy. He'd be your best pass rusher, your best playmaker from that position. But Zach Allen, I don't know. He's a guy that you've locked up for a little bit. I think he's got some upside. He's a guy that I think that this team is really going to be rooting for. And I think that it's possible that if we get 10 plus sacks from Allen, you get a handful from everyone else, that you could still have a productive season. You could probably say the same about Gregory, but I think that I would bank on the health of Allen over Gregory as kind of, something that I would worry about. But I guess, I don't really have a strong feeling between the two, but I'd probably lean Allen a little bit.
I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong.
Okay, tell me why I'm wrong. I would love to. I don't think I did a good job answering it, so I want to know. I want to know your reason.
We've been in cahoots or aligned for a little bit through this.
We should bump heads.
Zach Allen is a guy that has peaked so far at 6 sacks. So has Randy Gregory. However, in Zach Allen's peak, I do think he played the majority of the season. Randy Gregory did not.
Right.
So I think if Randy Gregory were to produce 10 plus sacks, that probably means he plays 10 plus games, which would be stellar. And then I think that also helps you feel I think a couple things. He has an easy contract to move next season with minimal guarantee money, right? So Nick Bonito has a breakout season.
Yep.
Randy Gregory has a phenomenal season. You could move him, get some draft capital that you're a really big fan of. And I think just for that investment, I think Zach Allen will be a good overall player. If he balls out and get 10 plus sacks, that would be crazy. I'm not expecting that, especially from someone that will probably line up inside more than outside. So if Randy Gregory were to do that, bring back, like I said, that dynamic pass rusher that the Broncos have not had in some time, I think that'd be just a really positive thing. Before we move on, I expect a couple more questions before we close out because this is fun.
Okay.
I want to say, what's up, Pablo? How you doing, bro? And then, David, I appreciate you letting me know. You are far from San Antonio.
Not too close.
You're like in Utah to me. So appreciate it though. But shout out to Texas. I like Texas more because you're listening.
Yeah, me too. And clearly not a Cowboys fan. So
boom.
Let's answer this real quick before we get into something else. How many wins do you guys think the Broncos will win this upcoming season?
And then, so I know we did our season predictions, but that's weighted because if two people picked a game,
because
we
you were
12-5.
Yeah.
I mean, because there was a game I thought they were going to lose that you thought they were going to win, and John agreed. So I got outvoted. There were more games like that than you. I think I'm going to go closer probably to – I think that this team can win 10. I think it should win 10. So I think 10-7 is about where I would mark it, game up or game down. But I think squarely in the playoff picture. I just really do. I think that Sean Payton bump, just what he's done with me, in my opinion, with lesser in New Orleans, should be a lot.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think 10 was probably where I would lean, maybe 9, just because I'm an eternal pessimist. But, I do think that they are a playoff caliber team. So I'm hoping for 10. Oh, 7-10.
All right.
I can see. I mean, I can see
it back in, Pablo. We're going to check back in.
We're going to check that. We're going to keep that receipt. Yeah. No, just kidding.
All right. You get one more. Either or I got one more, and then we'll close this bad boy out.
All right. Let me pull the list back up. Would you rather have a defense that ranked top 5 and takeaway differential?
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
Or be a top 5 offense and converting third and fourth downs?
Oh, so top offense in to-go situations, right?
Yeah, to-go situations.
Or so converting third or fourth downs, or leading the NFL top 5. Sorry, not leading the NFL, top 5 in the NFL in turnover differential.
Yep.
I'm going to go third down.
Interesting.
Because I think that means more sustained drives. Hopefully leads to more points. Mm-hmm. I think you can be a team that turns the ball over a little bit and maybe doesn't produce some because maybe stylistically, right? Like you saw that with Fangio's defenses. Weren't getting a lot of turnovers, but they were playing pretty good D. Because this team has been so bad for so long at staying on the field, we talked about it, I think, a previous pod. 29% on third down is just god-awful. God-awful. Yeah. I mean, for the talent that we know, at least on paper, that we think this group has. So that, to me, means there's a significant jump in offensive production. Maybe there's some more turnovers. I'll take it. Maybe if they're middle of the pack-ish, that'd be fine. But that's my take. What about you?
I love turnovers. I got to go turnovers. I just think I think that a well-timed turnover changes so many games. What's the word I'm looking for? I mean, you can swing the momentum quickly. Yeah, you can swing it quickly. I think this team needs.
And you don't think converting like a 3rd and 9, like a clutch 3rd and 9, doesn't?
I do. I don't know.
4th and 5 in week 1 last year instead of a ridiculously long field goal attempt.
Yeah. No, I guess I feel like more like turnovers are more jump starters for the offense than a conversion is a jump starter for the defense. So I think that, turning the ball over, I think that offense goes out there. They know they have an opportunity to score. There's nothing that offensive players like to do more than score touchdowns. Yeah. And I think it probably juices them up a little more and gives them more opportunity to be successful. And I think, as Pablo said, I think above, Wilson needs to play much better because last season was a mess. And if you give them short fields and opportunities to score, I think that's probably your best case scenario. Now, would I love us to be better in conversions? 100%, no doubt about that. But if if you're making me choose, I gotta go with the defensive side. And they say defense wins championships. I don't know. That's just what I've heard.
All right, you're up.
Oh, we gotta.
Or am I up? Oh no, I'm up.
Yeah, you're up. Yeah. But I heard a rumor that Deion Sanders is named the new head coach of the Denver Broncos. Is that true? I've not heard this. But
hey, we responded back. If he wins at CU, he might be.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It's true. I mean, like, that team has been in a hole. I mean, a hole in college football.
Not like just a comfortable hole where you're like down there and people give you like pails of water and it's like, like I'm gonna save Timmy. Like, no, like you're in a
bottomless pit.
Yeah,
bottomless pit. You're just falling for an entire free fall.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd hire Deion if he can turn that program around.
Yep.
Let's go. Okay, what's yours?
All right. Either or. Sean Payton wins Coach of the Year. Or Russ Wilson wins MVP.
Wow.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a good. I didn't think about those ones.
Yeah.
I think I got to go with Russ winning MVP.
Oh.
I think just because it feels like it would feel like such a turnaround, right? Like it would feel like such from like the lowest of lows to the highest of highs. I think, we did we talked about the coaching rankings. Where does Sean Payton fit in the coaching rankings today in the NFL? And we had him squarely in the top 10. I think I was top 5. You had him top 7, something like that. It wouldn't be as surprising to see Sean Payton come in and win something like that. I would be far more surprised if Russ Wilson was outshining some of his peers. That means he had a more productive season than Mahomes. That means he had a more productive season than a young guy like Joe Burrows, Josh Allen, who Broncos fans like to reminisce about not taking in the draft. I think that's your best case scenario as far as if we're talking about this upcoming season. I think that's your best case scenario to be competitive and to have a shot at something we haven't had a shot at a long time, which is success. All
right. You swayed me, actually. So I was if Sean Payton wins Coach of the Year, probably means that there was a big turnaround. They're probably in the playoffs. But my feeling then is maybe they just make the playoffs. I concur with you that if Russ Wilson balls out, wins MVP, because remember, Russ Wilson has never even got an MVP vote. For as good as he's been, never got a vote. So if he were to play that well, I really like your point. That probably means that he outplayed, the two behemoths in this in this division. So you swayed me. I'm glad you went first on that. So I give it to you. That was a really good answer.
Yes, we talked a little Nuggets at the beginning. You missed it, David, but you can always go back and check it out.
Go back, listen to Zach's take on it. He was phenomenal for that ride. Him and his podcast are pretty tremendous.
And he was there. He was in the building when it happens. So.
And before we sign out, Pablo, do I think if he struggles, he gets benched? I don't think so. I think he has to struggle probably into midseason before they jump. Is that dude? So that's.
Yeah, I'd agree. Sorry, I muted you on accident for a second. I thought I was muting myself. Bad. This is what happens when our producer John isn't here. We just run the ship and it doesn't go as cleanly. But I would agree. I don't think you can bench him too quickly. I just don't. I mean, Jared Stidham. I don't know that really is going to move the needle for anyone, especially not anyone in that locker room. I think people probably have, players in the locker room are probably feeling better with Russ at the helm than a backup quarterback potentially. At least that there's a chance for him to turn it around. Like you said, Jacksonville started 2-5 or whatever, 2-6, and we're able to turn it around. Got to give him that opportunity. I think, especially since you're paying him the big bucks. That's what you're paying him to do. He's got to be able to stand in there and take the good with the bad, and hopefully we get more good than bad this year.
That's right. But it'll be interesting. We'll see pretty quick. So we appreciate all of you. JT, I'm gonna let you go ahead and do the sign off, baby.
Yeah, no. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, David. Graham. Anyone else who I'm missing that was in the chat? Glenn, we got your question to Zach, so that was cool. But thank you guys for listening. We don't do this show without guys like you, people like you, tuning in and giving us a reason to come out and talk Broncos. We could do it privately in our group chat or whatever, but we prefer to include you guys and it makes it more fun for us. So thank you. We're going to sign off though. We'll be back next Thursday. I don't know. We've got some scheduling stuff to figure it out. We may be pre-recorded, we may be live, but keep an eye on Twitter and social to figure it out with us. And hopefully you tune in regardless. But thank you again. Be kind to one another. Be safe out there and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway.
Oh, I thought we're still